To the world, Naomi Judd looked like a woman who had everything. She was stunning, strong, and successful. She stood in the spotlight with her daughter Winona as part of the famous country music duo, the Judds. Together, they sang songs that touched the hearts of millions. But while the crowd cheered and the cameras flashed, Naomi was struggling. Behind her smile were years of emotional pain and a past filled with sorrow. Now, after her tragic death, her husband, Larry Strickland, has finally opened up, and what he revealed shocked everyone. Naomi Judd's husband finally breaks silence on his wife, and it's bad. His words showed a side of Naomi's life that had stayed hidden until now. Naomi and Larry's love story was different from the ones usually seen in Hollywood. While many celebrity relationships fell apart in front of cameras, theirs was steady and quiet. Naomi sparkled on stage, full of life and charm. But when the show ended, Larry was the one who held her hand and helped her stand. Their love wasn't loud. It was built slowly, with patience, trust, and deep care. Their paths crossed in the late 1970s, long before Naomi became a household name. At that time, she was a single mother living in Nashville, juggling work as a nurse while trying to provide for her daughters, Winona and Ashley. She dreamed of a life in music, but it felt far away. Larry Strickland was already a skilled performer. Born and raised in North Carolina, he sang gospel and had toured with Elvis Presley's famous backup group, the Stamps Quartet. They met through the Nashville music scene. Naomi was drawn to Larry's warm voice and calm spirit. He wasn't just a singer. He was a gentle man who carried strength in silence. Their relationship didn't begin with fireworks or fast moves. It started with long talks, quiet walks, and honest moments. Naomi, who had been through heartbreak and hardship, found comfort in Larry's calm. He gave her a sense of peace she had never known. They married on May 4, 1989. At the time, Naomi was at the peak of her career. But despite the applause and awards, what she truly wanted was someone who would be there for her when the spotlight faded. Larry was that person. He never chased fame. He didn't need to be seen. He chose to stay behind the curtain, watching over Naomi and standing beside her through the storms. Their love was tested when Naomi became seriously ill. In the early 1990s, doctors told her she had hepatitis C. The diagnosis forced her to retire from music at a time when her career was booming. It was a terrifying moment. Naomi didn't know what the future held, but Larry didn't leave her side. He took care of her every day. He helped her fight, not just with medicine, but with love. Naomi always praised Larry for being her rock. She once said, "I would not have made it without him." Their life was full of quiet joy. They loved gardening together. They enjoyed sitting outside, reading books, and taking simple trips. Naomi once said Larry was the first man who treated her with true kindness. "He's so gentle," she told a friend. "He knows how to love me in ways no one ever has." But their marriage wasn't perfect. Naomi had deep emotional scars. She spoke openly about her battle with depression, anxiety, and thoughts of self-harm. Larry stayed by her side through those dark days. When she wrote her memoir, River of Time, which shared her struggles with mental illness, Larry supported her without hesitation. He never tried to fix her. He just held her hand and let her know she was not alone. Then came the hardest moment of all. On April 30th, 2022, just one day before Naomi and Winona were to be honored at the Country Music Hall of Fame, Naomi took her own life. She died at her home in Tennessee. Larry was left heartbroken, but he stood tall the next day to accept the award in her place. He could barely speak through the tears. "She never met a stranger," he said, describing how Naomi could connect with anyone, no matter who they were. Now, Larry has finally spoken in more detail about their marriage and the struggles they faced, and what he shared was painful to hear. Their love was real, but it was filled with challenges. In Naomi's own words, they were madly in love, but love did not protect them from hurt. Larry's career had kept him on the road a lot. This made Naomi feel lonely and insecure. One moment from their past revealed just how broken things had become. In a shocking confession shared in a Lifetime documentary, Larry said that Naomi once fired a gun at him after discovering he had been unfaithful. "It really happened," Larry said softly. "That's all I'm going to say." This incident had been shown years earlier in a made-for-TV movie about the Judds. Naomi had once recalled how a woman from out of state had called their home, saying she loved Larry. When Larry came home, Naomi tore up their pictures and threw his clothes into the yard. In the documentary, Larry sat quietly watching that scene being reenacted on screen. His face showed the weight of the past. Still, they stayed together. They didn't give up. In December 2022, Larry revealed that for over 13 years, he had barely left Naomi's side. He was with her every day. He never left the house without telling her where he was going. He explained, "When you're married to someone with a mental illness, you don't walk away. You walk the same path they walk." But their home in the last months was not peaceful. Larry described it as chaotic and full of tension. Naomi's energy was low. She was getting therapy and taking medication, but it wasn't enough. Larry now says he didn't fully understand what she was going through. He thought he was helping by managing her meals, making sure she exercised and reminding her to take her medicine. But now he wishes he had done more than that. "If I had known how deep her pain was, I would have been much softer with her," he said with sadness. Despite everything, Larry never left Naomi. He stayed, even when things got hard. And after she passed, he found comfort in her daughters. Winona and Ashley helped him through the grief. Naomi's death brought them closer as a family. Larry's honesty has opened a window into the quiet battles that couples often face behind closed doors. On May 15th, 2022, during a public memorial called Naomi Judd, A River of Time, Larry spoke about Naomi's kind heart. He remembered how she would talk to strangers on the street, ask about their dogs, and share stories. One man wrote Larry a letter after sitting next to Naomi on a flight. He said their conversation changed him forever. These moments, shared by Larry, were the first time he had truly spoken out about her since her passing. Naomi's story began long before fame. She was born in Kentucky in 1946, in a small home filled with hard times. Her parents worked long hours, and money was always tight. At age 18, Naomi lost her brother to cancer. The pain of that loss never left her. At 17, she had her first child and raised her alone. She later moved to California with little more than faith. She worked hard, cared for her children, and chased a dream. Music became her escape. Eventually, she and Winona began singing together. That bond became the Judds. Their harmonies were magic. They topped charts, won awards, and inspired millions. Naomi received 5 Grammys and even wrote the song "Love Can Build a Bridge," which became a symbol of hope. But in 1991, her illness forced her to step away from music. She turned her attention to raising awareness about hepatitis C and later became a voice for mental health. She acted in films, judged talent shows, and wrote self-help books. But behind the scenes, she was still fighting. The fame, the pressure, and the memories of past trauma weighed heavily on her. In time, she was diagnosed with treatment-resistant depression. Even so, she kept trying to help others. She wanted people to know they weren't alone in their pain. Naomi died just weeks after planning a comeback tour. Her daughters, still in shock, accepted her Hall of Fame award. She had left a will naming Larry as the executor. Though her daughters weren't included, Winona said there was no fight. "We're good," she said. "We'll split things after Larry passes." Naomi's autopsy confirmed her struggles. She had been treated for PTSD and bipolar disorder. She had once spoken about abuse in her past. Her note left behind added another layer of heartbreak. But her family has remained united, choosing to honor her life instead of focusing on the pain. Naomi Judd was more than a country star. She was a woman who faced the darkest parts of life and still reached for the light. Her songs, her story, and her strength continue to touch people. Her daughters carry on her work, standing up for mental health and giving voice to the silent pain many still carry. Her legacy is not just in music, it is in the bravery she showed when she shared her truth.